This call is now being recorded.
All right, so we are going to start from where we left off. Last time we were able to do addition in exponential notation. So today's class is going to continue from subtraction in exponential notation. So with this, we are saying that you can only subtract two numbers when they have the same power with the base 10, when they have the same number. For instance, if we have a multiplied by 10 exponent n, okay? And we have b multiplied by 10 exponent n. And you are asked to subtract these two numbers because this 10 base 10 exponent n or power n, base 10 power n here, because they have the same power, then we can subtract these numbers by writing a minus b, then we multiply it by 10 power n. We can only subtract these two numbers if and only if the powers are the same. But in a situation whereby the powers are different, it simply means you have to make one of the powers the same. You have to either convert the smaller one to the bigger one or convert the bigger one to the smaller one before we can perform the operation. Now, let's try to look at work examples, some examples. So example, if I have number one, 9.63 multiplied by 10 power 6 and 1.09 multiplied by 10 power 6. And you are asked to find the difference. Now, let's use this opportunity to also learn about this. If you're asked to find the difference, then it means subtraction. Is that okay? If you're asked to find the sum, it means what? Addition. And if you're asked to find the product, then it means multiplication. And the last one, if you're asked to find the quotient, okay, then it means division. So basically, when you are having a question, that the question is in the form of word problem, mostly they will be using these items. They'll be using these ones. So for instance, in this particular question, you'll be asked to find the difference between two numbers, these two numbers. Finding the difference, the first thing you have to look out for is the power. What is the power here and what is the power here? Are they the same? In this case, they are the same. If they are the same, then we can subtract 1.09 from 9.63. Is that okay? So let's look at our solution. Our solution is going to be like this. Since they are the same, we are going to have 9.63 minus 1.09 multiplied by 10 power 6. And then we've solved the one in the bracket, which is 9.63 minus 1.09 will give us 8.54 times 10 power 6. And this will be your final answer. We can only perform this subtraction only when the powers are the same. Now let's look at question 2. So question 2, if you have 8.67 multiplied by 10 power 4 and 7.88 times 10 power 4, and you're asked to find the difference between these two numbers. As I told you earlier on, check the power of the base 10. So the power here is what? 4, and the power here is also what? 4. Therefore, we can find the difference by subtracting 7.88 from 8.67. With this, our solution is going to look like this. 8.67 minus 7.88. Then we multiply it by one of these since we have the same. So at the end, when we find the subtraction or when we simplify, we are going to get 0.79 multiplied by 10 power 4. But we also said that exponential notation, so let's say exponential notation, is a range between 1 to 10, where we write it in this interval as exponential notation is greater than or equal to 1, is greater than or equal to 1, but less than what? 10, but less than 10. Greater than or equal to 1, but less than 10. But looking at our number is less than what? 1. If it is less than 1, it means it is not qualified to be called exponential notation. So we are going to change this one from this form to exponential notation. Now to change this, you realize that we have to move the point. You have to move the point from here to this side, okay? So that we can have 7.9. Now moving the point, we can either move the point to the right or to the left. And in our previous class, we learned that when you move the point to the right side, it becomes what? Negative. When we move the point to the right, it becomes what? Negative. But when we move the point to the left, it becomes what? Positive. In this situation, we are supposed to move the point to the right. So we are going to have 7.9 multiplied by 10 exponent 4. We are moving the point to the right, so it is minus. How many times are we moving the point? We only move it from here to here. So we move it only one time. Okay, we move it only one time. Moving it only one time is minus 1. So at the end, our final answer is 7.9 multiplied by 10 power 3. Now let's try to solve one more question, and after that, we will look at a situation whereby we have different powers. Okay, so let's say we have different powers. How are you going to solve this question? One more of the same powers first. So let's say number 3. Our number 3 is here. If I have 9.63 times 10 power 6 and 7.88 times 10 power 6, right? Find the difference. The difference between these numbers. Find the difference between these numbers. So our solution is going to look like this. First of all, we check the power of the bases. So the power here is what? 6. The power here is 6. So we can perform the operation as simple as that. So let's perform this operation. Our solution is going to look like this. 9.63 multiplied by 10 power 6. 10 power 6 minus 7.88 times 10 power 6. And then we go back to the original formula, which says we can subtract this one. 9.63 minus 7.88 multiplied by 10 power 6. Is that okay? So now let's find the difference. If you subtract 7.88 from 9.63, what do we get? We are going to get 1.75. Then we multiply that one by 10 power 6. And this will be the final answer. All right, now let's look at a situation whereby we have different powers. Different powers. So if you have different powers, how do we solve this? First of all, let's write this question as number 1. when you have different powers. Okay, let's continue from there. So question 4. Question 4, if I have 7.16 times 10 power 5 and I have 8.7 times 10 power 4, and you are asked to find the difference between these two numbers. Now, as I said, always check the powers. Now you realize that our powers are different, right? We have different powers. The first one is 5 and the second one is 4. I will advise you that always change the smaller power to the bigger power. Even though if you change the bigger power to the smaller power, you still get the same answer. But to make the work much easier for you, change the smaller one to the bigger one. So to change the smaller one to the bigger one, this is what you are going to get. You are going to have 7.6 times 10 power 5 minus. Now, if you want to change, we can only change the power by moving the point. And we have two options here. We can move the point to the right, or we can move the point to the left. And I said when you move to the right, it means positive, negative. And when you move to the left, it becomes what? Positive. Now, we have power 4 here. This power 4. And we want to move it to what? Power 5. It means we need to add 1. And adding is positive. So we will move to the left. We move the point to the left. You move it to the left. And if you move to the left, how many times are you going to move it? Move it only 1 time. That will make the power to what? 5. So we are moving it to the left, and you're going to have 0.87 times 10 power 4 plus 1, which is what? 5. And you go back to the same question again as previous. Now that the powers are the same, we can simplify this as 7.6 minus 0.87 multiplied by 10 power 5. And then the final answer should be equal to 6.73 times 10 power 5. And this should be your final answer. The only thing you need to consider when solving this question is the powers. Change the smaller power to the bigger one. How do we change the smaller one to the bigger one? We add more. So if you have to add 1 to 4, it means we have to get a positive number. The only way to get positive is to move the point to the left. So we move it to the left and we get 0.87. Please, is that okay? All right. Now let's look at question 5. Question 5. When we have 1.21 multiplied by 10 power 7 and 6.2 times 10 power 6. And you're asked to find the difference between these two exponential notation. You're going to do same. You're going to change this power 6 to what? Power 7. And to change that, it simply means you have to move the point to the left side. That will be positive. And we add it to 6 to make it what? 7. So try it and see. Pause the video and try it. After that, you come back and check if you get the same answer or not. Now, with the solution, we are going to get 1.21 times 10 power 7. Okay, minus because the question says we should find the difference. Minus moving the point to the left becomes 0.62. 0.62. Then we multiply this by 10 power 7. Now, since the powers are the same, we can then finalize it as 1.21 minus 0.62 times 10 power 7. And this should give us 0.59 times 10 power 7. And our final answer should be equal to, because we cannot leave our answer like this, this answer is less than 1. And we are saying that 1 is not part, any number less than 1 is not considered as exponential notation. So let's convert this one. Now, when we move the point to the left, it becomes positive. In this case, you're going to move the point from left to the right, like this one. You're going to move it from here to this side, okay? And moving it there becomes what? Negative. So we are going to subtract from the power. Therefore, we are going to have 5.9 times 10 power 7. Because we move it to the right, it becomes negative. How many times did we move? We moved only one time, so 1. And at the end, 5.9 times 10 power 6 becomes the final answer.